what's up, man? We're coming into town. You guys is ranked at number 11 right now. We're at 20. Our offense is struggling. I'm looking for explosive offense. Hyper goes tempo. You got the home crowd. It's going to be a tough matchup for us, man. If the spread right now is 10.5, may go up. All the money's going on Tennessee right now. What's it feel like in Knoxville?
Man, the hype is just out of control at this point. I mean, Tennessee and Florida, obviously the series is what it is. What is it, 16 of the last 17 to the Gators?
Yeah, we own that shit.
I mean, the results are there. But Florida's had its issues, right, in the last 10 years. 4 head coaches since Urban Meyer. The problem for Tennessee is every time Florida has had to sort of, I won't say rebuild because they've gotten into spots where they've had to reset a little bit. They've still had good teams throughout those times. They've won the division. They've sent players to the NFL. But every time Florida has had kind of a rebuild or reset, Tennessee's been off to the side having its own problems that have been a lot deeper than what Florida's problems have been. So this is the first time in a really long time that Florida is in year 1 of the Billy Napier era. It's a little bit of a rebuild. He's got a lot of work to do there after replacing Dan Mullen. And Tennessee, for the first time, it's like on sure footing, while Florida is off to the side dealing with that. So with them being favored by as much as they are, that win at Pittsburgh, year 2 now under Heupel, I mean, just the hype is to where they just have to win. I mean, they have to win. Nothing would change sort of the tenor or the conversation around Josh Heupel's tenure at Tennessee in a negative fashion more than a loss to Florida. I mean, I think a loss to Pittsburgh, a loss to Florida would be much worse than if they had gone up and lost to Pittsburgh. If they lose to Pittsburgh and they beat Florida, all's forgiven. If they beat Pittsburgh, lose to Florida, that's a totally different conversation. And they obviously beat Pittsburgh, so what's left now is to beat Florida for the first time since 2016.
No doubt. What are you expecting out of this offense? Running back, I know you guys have some guys with suspensions on the offensive side of the ball and also some injuries. What are you expecting out of this offense, especially in the first half before your receiver gets back on the field in the second half?
Well, they're a little banged up. Jimmy Callaway's the receiver you're talking about. I threw a little combo there against Akron last week. Callaway hadn't really factored in heavily for Tennessee on offense, so I don't think that's a huge blow for them right now. They really have 3 receivers, to be honest, that they really trust. And you saw that against Pittsburgh. They talked all training camp about, how this guy is emerging and this freshman's been really impressive. But when push came to shove at Pittsburgh, there were 3 guys out there the whole time. And that was Cedric Tillman, it was Jalen Hyatt, and it was Brew McCoy, the transfer from USC. So really the bigger concern at receiver is the injury to Tillman against Akron. Had obviously a huge season last year, has gotten off to a good start this season, but had to go up high on a pass, got hit low, came down with an ankle injury, and he left that game. He's day-to-day at the moment, but I don't know what his status is going to be for Saturday's game. If he does play, he definitely is not 100%. And then Jabari Small, Tennessee starting running back, really their RB1. They play a couple guys there, but he's a little banged up with a shoulder injury. But everybody's kind of, got those knocks at this point in the season. I expect them to want to come out and start fast. That's obviously been the staple of this offense, is coming out. And that wasn't the case against Pittsburgh. But for the most part, they've done a good job of that in the first quarter of the Josh Heupel era. So, I don't expect the offense to really if the offense struggles early, it's not because they don't have Cedric Tillman. It's because Hendon Hooker is a little bit out of rhythm and having a little bit of some accuracy issues, which, to be honest, though his numbers look good, we've seen some of those issues early on this season. It just hasn't really showed on the numbers or in the box score.
I think the strength of our team is, I don't think I know, the strength of our entire team right now is our offensive line. And I think for us to win this game, we need to possess the ball and just do what we do very well, and that's run the ball. How you think your defensive line compares or lines up against our offensive line?
That's going to be the battle right there for sure, because a lot of it comes down to Anthony Richardson too, right? If you can just take that away from him, which I know Kentucky was able to do really well, then you have a really good shot at limiting him, just forcing him to be a pocket passer. But that's going to be a fun matchup because Tennessee's defensive line lost their leader last season. Matthew Butler was drafted in the 5th round by the Raiders. They have a lot of bodies there. They have, a really good defensive line coach in Rodney Gardner, and they played really well against Pittsburgh.
Gardner's a good coach.
Garner's one of the best in the business. I'll reference the Pittsburgh game a ton because that's really the only sample size we have for this team right now.
Right.
They played Ball State and they played Akron. So, like I said, they played 6-7 receivers against Ball State, but then against Pitt, crunch time at the end of the game, 3 guys out there did not leave the field. That was sort of the case in a bunch of different position groups. So, as far as what we saw in the Pitt game, they were good in the trenches. They were really good getting to the backfield, but they were getting to the quarterback. They knocked Keaton Slovis out of the game. They almost knocked the backup quarterback out of the game. They injured him to where he finished the game, but he didn't play the following week. So I think that Tennessee front has been sort of a pleasant surprise for people because everybody knows the deficiencies on the back end, and the best way to mask that is to have guys that can get to the quarterback, that can win on the line of scrimmage. But this is without a doubt the toughest test that they're going to face up front. Pitt has a pretty solid O-line. Pitt can run the football, but this is without a doubt a tougher test in my mind.
Got you. How is your secondary, Fred? I don't think us pitching the ball around hasn't gone well, but I think we got some guys that can make some plays like Justin Shorter. He could win some one-on-ones. Just looking at Slovis, he got 195 on you guys, but also threw a pick. Also, they running back got 6.2 a carry and got 154 yards. I see some opportunities with your defense. Just watching the game and also looking at like some of the stat lines. You guys are opportunistic. I think we'll have some opportunities. It's just my defense right now has just been food, hasn't been able to get off the field in instances like last week with USF. But I want to, and also I want to see what the health is like with my man Ventrell Miller. That'll change my outlook on the offense. Right now, if he's out on the road, it just looks tricky, man. But what does your secondary look like?
Secondary going into the season was by far the biggest weakness, just on paper. Secondary was one of the worst in the SEC last year, and they lost their 2 best players. They lost Delonte Taylor, second round to the Saints, and they lost Theo Jackson, was drafted in the 6th round by the Titans. He's still here in Nashville in his hometown. He's on the practice squad. And they didn't really replace those guys as far as replicating that high-level production. They brought in, a safety, Andre Turrentine, out of Ohio State, a Wesley Walker out of Georgia Tech. And those are good depth pieces, but Kamal Haddon has really stepped up at corner. He's a transfer out of Auburn, but like I said, he's been good. He's been a pleasant surprise. He's been their best corner so far. But without a question, if Tennessee cannot get to the backfield, it's just going to be a long day for their defense. If Florida can sort of pick up those pressures, because I think Tim Banks is going to be aggressive against Anthony Richardson. I mean, I really think he's going to try to put him under duress.
My whole line going to keep him clean.
Hey, like I said,
when y'all send that shit, y'all better make sure it land.
Hey, buddy, I think they know it. Man. I mean, they're going to send it no matter what. I mean, they know they can't let, no matter who the quarterback is, sit back and pick them apart. So they're going to be sending them no matter what. There's no doubt that the secondary is probably the weak link on this defense right now, which is why it's so important for them to be able to get to the quarterback. But on the flip side of that, I mean, with Ventrell Miller, you're right. That would be a huge miss for that Florida defense that's already struggled to limit, the ground game defensively. But Tennessee, really, everybody thinks of this offense. They think big play down the field, up tempo, but it's really all predicated on the run game. I mean, if they can't run the ball, stay ahead of schedule, then the offense is just completely thrown out of whack. And so if they can do that against Florida and sort of take advantage of that, especially if Miller is out, then I think the offense will kind of be humming a little bit. And at that point, it might just become a shootout if Anthony Richardson is on.
How you feel about the backup running back you guys got playing? His talent level, you think he's good?
Jalen Wright, he's a solid player. If Jabari Small were to not go, which I think he will, but if he does, kind of like Tillman, he won't be exactly 100%. You feel really good about what you have in Small. But Jalen Wright, a serviceable backup, and Dylan Sampson's a freshman that's really flashed. So as far as personnel, they don't have any running backs that just jump off the page as one of the better backs in the SEC. I think if Small were to stay healthy, he could get into that conversation. But really with this offense, it's about timing. It's about rhythm. It's about taking advantage of defenses with that tempo. Offensive line has played well so far for Tennessee, but you don't have that guy, that Tank Bigsby, that Chris Rodriguez, that Jahmyr Gibbs, that you can just put the ball in his hands and say, go make a play. It's really just a product of the offense as a whole. Hendon Hooker is the playmaker in this offense. Hendon Hooker and the big wide receivers they have on the outside.
Okay, so like talent on talent, who you think is the more talented team? Just based off just like basic player for player.
I think right now, Tennessee barely has the edge, and that's just because of depth. because of the hits that Florida has taken in the portal. I know Billy Napier came in and he didn't take the approach a lot of first-year head coaches take of just let's just get as many as we can. Let's just get bodies in here. He was a little selective for a first-year head coach, which I appreciate that approach. He's very specific on what he wants, but at the same time, I think Florida maybe is shorter on bodies in some areas where Tennessee isn't anymore. They certainly were last year. Depth was a huge issue for Tennessee a year ago, and they're still not at 85 scholarship players. But the depth is much, much better than it was a year ago. So especially at the most important positions, like I think Tennessee has the advantage at wide receiver, right? When you compare their wide receiver room to Florida's wide receiver room, probably a quarterback just with the experience factor. Anthony Richardson's probably a more purely talented guy than Hendon Hooker without a doubt. But I just think Hooker with the experience and how he's been able to avoid turning over the football in the last year and a half or so has that edge as well. With Florida, you probably look at the offensive line as a big strength that they probably have a leg up on Tennessee. But if you were to go position group by position group and compare, I'd probably give the edge to Tennessee. But you know what? That sometimes doesn't matter in this rivalry where just crazy stuff happens, and Tennessee has found every way to lose these games against Florida. So, Tennessee fans might be out here talking about they're more talented here, they're deeper here, but I promise you, every single Tennessee fan deep down is terrified, absolutely petrified at what might happen on Saturday.
Pressure. I do like us coming from an underdog perspective. I think it takes some of the pressure off of Anthony Richardson. After that Utah game, I think he's just been super pressing and trying to make shit happen, play hero ball. Yeah. I want to see him operate from an underdog perspective and see how he operate on the road, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited to see him. Yeah.
Real quick, to me, probably to football fans just in general, the key to being a great team or a decent team or a bad team, no matter what, is in your trenches. So I'd like to get just a quick grade. Just A through F on your O line, and then on the flip side, your defensive line, just as a unit, including some depth. How do you feel about first off your offensive line, and then your flip side, your defensive line? If you just had to give them a letter grade.
Yeah, I'll give the offensive line at the moment. We'll say a B minus, and that's considering who they've played so far. Right. They plowed right through Akron last week, but you just can't take anything away from that. And against Pittsburgh, who's always going to have a good front with Pat Narduzzi. The offense. Yeah, and the offense was stagnant early on against Pitt. I'm not going to lie. Hendon Hooker with some accuracy issues. They just kind of fell out of rhythm a little bit, and Pitt was the one who got off to the fast start, which Tennessee isn't quite used to under Josh Heupel. But with the offensive line, I'll give it a B minus at the moment because they were able to settle into that game against Pitt and run the football and start to get things going. Defensively, I'll give it a B plus just because of the way they were able to get to the backfield against Pittsburgh. The defense won them that game. Without a doubt. Keaton Slovis was on the turf several times before they even registered a sack. But even just getting to the quarterback with the pocket passer like Slovis, that he's just not going to hurt you with his legs like Anthony Richardson might. But just getting him on the ground, even a beat after he throws the football, it had a big impact in that game. So this is going to be a unique challenge for that front against Anthony Richardson because they haven't faced a quarterback even close to his athletic ability. And obviously the whole deal when facing Richardson is to limit how he can hurt you with his legs off schedule with those crazy backyard football plays that we know he's capable of.
Lucas, how do you think Neyland Stadium would be Saturday? It's a rivalry game. You guys are ranked top 15.
Madhouse, man.
It's going to be rocking, man. I think the loudest I have ever heard Neyland Stadium was 2015 when they played Oklahoma. Either that or 2016, the last time they beat Florida at home. And I think it's going to be that and then some. Just whenever Neyland Stadium is at its best, when that sort of pent-up aggression or frustration with Tennessee fans over the last few years gets combined with a little bit of momentum and success and excitement and hope for the future. And I think this week is kind of that perfect blend from a Tennessee fan perspective of they're favored, they're confident, but at the same time, it's Florida. You
heard it all before.
Oh, buddy, you're preaching to the choir. Like this is Florida. You've beaten them once in the last 16 years. So every single Tennessee fan walking in there knows
I watched Trayon walked in that bitch like a big dog and did what he had to do.
Trayon Harris?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean,
there's
a long history of Florida backup quarterbacks coming in and doing that type of stuff as well.
Whatever they want to do, man.
No, so Tennessee fans know they've been hurt before by Florida in Neyland Stadium when they've expected to go in and win the game. There's no doubt that place is going to be rowdy. And I'm really interested to see how Anthony Richardson kind of reacts to that, because it'll be the first time he's sort of thrown into that environment. I know he played in that Georgia game in Jacksonville last year a little bit. That's a rowdy crowd, but kind of more of a 50-50 environment. Yeah. This is his first true SEC road game environment. And so I think Florida's really going to need to try to avoid letting Tennessee get off to a fast start and letting the crowd kind of run with it.
Yeah, we got to run the ball. We got to run the noise out of the stadium, man. Take the air out of it a little bit.
I don't think Tennessee leaves. That's one thing I can kind of credit them with. Like, one thing as a Miami fan, I obviously always got to deal with attendance jokes, which, it's like, whatever, I don't care.
Oh, yeah, they're going to show up.
No, what I mean is, okay, you looked at the Georgia-South Carolina game, right? Man, that thing was packed out. My homeboy was there. He said, bro, by the end of the second quarter, when people was getting up out of there, and when they came back on TV in the third, you could see the obvious difference in the field. I don't think Tennessee fans will quite leave as early as Columbia did.
We don't ran them up out of that motherfucker now.
That's what South. Well, yeah, it's happened before, no doubt, against Florida. But I'll say this. Now, Tennessee played Florida 2016, the last time they beat them. They're down 21-3 at the half. People stuck around. Some people certainly left. I have friends that left, and it's one of their biggest regrets of their life. That people stuck around, though, and it was a rocking crowd throughout the whole second half during that comeback. Man, with South Carolina, I have one experience at Williams-Brice Stadium. In 2014, I went to South Carolina when they played Tennessee. It was the second to last year of Steve Spurrier. It was Butch Jones' second year, Josh Dobbs' breakout game in that game. That game went to overtime. Went to overtime. And I remember, I'll never forget it, as overtime is starting, watching as South Carolina fans are spilling out of the stadium in droves. And I was looking around like, what is going on? I couldn't believe it. So Williams-Brice Stadium, it's fun at kickoff. They play Sandstorm, all that. And then those kids just want to get the hell out of there. They want to go back and party in the second quarter. Nah, man, that environment, it's fun at the beginning, but you know what? Hey, I guess it's hard to blame them. What Georgia did to South Carolina the other day should be illegal.
Hey, Lucas, one of our producers, Taylor, said Knoxville is the Miami of Tennessee. Is that true?
I don't know what you mean. Give me a little more detail there.
The city of Miami?
Do y'all wear y'all shirts? Do y'all wear y'all shirts open?
Do we what?
Well, your shirt open.
Do y'all wear y'all shirts open and snort a lot of cocaine?
That they do.
That happens. There's no question that happens. Do overalls count as open shirts? I think that if overalls count, then we're good. We're on the same page.
Technically, we're going to allow. Yeah, the judges say we can allow overalls as with no shirt as a open shirt.
There we go.
But nah, he said that earlier. I said, nah, brother. I've been to Nashville and I've been to Knoxville. Nashville is definitely more the Miami of Tennessee, in my humble opinion.
I'm with you there. I don't know what the comp would be. Knoxville, I feel like it's just a fictional place sometimes. I don't even think Knoxville is a real place with some of the stuff you see.
It's real. Yeah, I stayed on Cherry Street, and apparently, my life was
motherfucker stayed everywhere, man.
Just for
that's why his background check took 3 years.
Yeah,
and that's good.
All these different addresses.
I was in town for a Yellow Wolf concert, and I stayed on Cherry Street, and
That's a nasty concert to travel to.
It was for a friend's birthday, and I like Yellow Wolf, so whatever. And the Uber driver was like, "Hey, I don't even come here at nighttime, bro."
Man.
He was like, "Listen, y'all was about an hour away from me, no way showing up." So
you got out of there though. You made it.
I did. I had a great time. The hotel I stayed at had a sign that said, the biggest letter said, "No prostitution."
Okay.
I knew I was in the right place. I knew I was exactly where I should be, because they did not allow prostitution, man. Y'all boys got any other question for my man Lucas?
Lucas, give us your score for the game.
Man, I said it all summer. I think Tennessee wins because they have to. Because they just have to. I mean, there's just no other way around it. Like I said, nothing would change the conversation around Heupel more than a loss to Florida. Fans would revert right back to that mentality of, it's not the guy. And that's unfair, probably. It's year 2. I mean, Heupel's, he's done everything recruiting-wise and then some that you would expect when he came in as, to be honest, probably an underwhelming hire in the grand scheme of things. But
we knew being in Florida, I knew he could.
He can scheme his call.
Down there at UCF. The question with Heupel,
I understand from a Tennessee fan perspective.
Sure. The question with him was recruiting because at UCF, if there's any program in that conference in the AAC that should be able to recruit at a high level, it's UCF. And he didn't get those results at UCF. He won games. It's obviously what matters. He developed players. I mean, Gabe Davis with the Bills, a Heupel product. Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, a Heupel product. But that was the concern. He's alleviated that concern.
And Scott Frost turned the buns.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And we learned what kind of coach Scott Frost is, man. That is crazy how that turned out. But a lot of the equity Josh Heupel has built up with this fan base will be lost in a lot of ways if they can't get it done against Florida. So I think if they're able to get off to a fast start, Florida's not going to go away. Anthony Richardson's going to make plays, but if they can continue to force some turnovers and continue to take care of the football, which is a couple of things they've done pretty well, I think Tennessee gets out of there in we'll say a 38-28, 38-30 type of game.
I like it. We're doing score predictions all around on this one? No. Why not?
Yeah, we go ahead and knock it out.
I do mine. I like the grades you gave the trenches. I like anytime it's a B, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm a little questionable about Anthony Richardson as far as an ankle, maybe foot injury. We haven't seen him break out and run yet. I don't know if Tennessee's going to be that game if he hasn't done it yet. And I'm kind of with you. Like, it's kind of a must-win game for them. I think they could catch Florida a tad down in the transitional year. So I'm going to take give me Tennessee. Oh, man. I might be switching up from my original score, but who cares? Give me Tennessee 38, Florida 24.
Yeah, same for me. I think Tennessee wins. I have it 27-17. Just not really sold on Anthony Richardson just yet in regards to what he can do. Hostile environment. I feel like Heupel could scheme up some stuff on the offense. I just feel like it's catching him at the right time. It's that time for Heupel. I know Tennessee fans are going to be pretty rowdy, just like you said, based off confidence and a little worry at the same time. So they want to bring their best effort. So I just think, catching UF at the right time, 27-17 Tennessee. I like what Heupel is doing up there.
I think we could run the ball on these boys and possess it, man, and do what we got to do. I think the only thing that lost us the Kentucky game was just poor decisions by Anthony Richardson. Limit his turnovers, keep the ball in his hand, and run the ball like we're supposed to. I think we could come out with a win. Being able to run the ball at the chunk yardage that we still can be explosive, but possess it. So I just think we could go into that stadium. The only way we do win this game if we don't turn the ball over. We play turnover-free football. I think we're good enough to beat these boys, man. 27-24. Hooker gonna have to show me something. So I know my defensive line gonna be on his ass. Shout out to Jared Mincy too. I know you guys got him, Florida transfer.
Yeah, he's kind of made his way into the starting left tackle spot.
Yeah. I like Mincy. I did some content with him last year. Real good kid, man. Cool. So he know what time it is with Cox and defensive ends. So I think we can make it interesting to get some turnovers out of Tennessee.
Be fun. Be a great college football Saturday, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I love when this game has juice, man. It's been too often.
For it, man. We need big time games, man.
It needs it. I think the SEC needs this rivalry to be relevant for sure, and it's relevant this week without a doubt.
No doubt, man. We're gonna see what happens, man. Appreciate you for tapping in with us, Lucas.
Hey, appreciate you guys, man. Looking forward to it. See y'all.
Tell people where they can find you at.
At Lucas Panzica on social media. I work at 104.5 The Zone here in Nashville. We're the Titans flagship Vol Network, home of the Vols here in the Mid-State. And I produce the Buck Rising Show. in the middle of the day from 10 to 1. I'm the scoreboard host on Titans Radio, and I do a lot of play-by-play work for high schools in the area and for Western Kentucky as well. But, yeah, at Lucas Panzico, where you can follow me on Twitter.
Man, in trap getting it. I see you, Lucas. Hold it down, my guy.
Appreciate you, boys. Enjoy it, guys.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming on.